Hey everyone, it's Scott from Strive Labs coming to you again with another Tuesday tip. Now all this month we've been talking about the idea of the return on investment of patient relationship management. And we've talked to you about a number of things. We've talked about lead generation, we've talked about patient retention. Well, today we're going to talk about something really simple, something that every practice can and should be doing because it's going to help you do a few things. One, it's going to help you get more patients in the door. And two, it's going to help you improve the health of the population of the patients that you treat. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about the idea of patient reactivation. Now, what is patient reactivation? We've talked about it a few times on these Tuesday tips. It's the idea that you have past patients, and in fact, these past patients make up a pretty large chunk of your caseload. And what we're finding is that it's really important to check back in with those past patients to see how they're doing. Now, a lot of you guys may do this automatically. You may bump into them at the grocery store. You may see them on the street. This is something that's happening all the time in PT. And how many times do those little run-ins turn into a new course of care? Well, what we want all practices to start doing is check in more regularly. And we're all used to this, right? We see this from our primary care doctor. We see this from our dentist. It's no different in physical therapy, yet unfortunately, lots of PTs aren't utilizing this strategy. So I want to talk to you about a couple ways that you can do this. I'll show you how you can do this with Strive Hub automatically, so it's no extra work for you. And we'll go into some different strategies for those of you who aren't using Strive Hub and discuss how you might be able to do this as well. All right? So without further ado, let's dive on into it. All right, so I've drafted up a simple reactivation campaign email like one you might use in Strive Hub, and let's quickly take a look at it just to get an idea as to what this might look like. So again, this is just a simple check-in. We're saying, hey patient, we just wanted to make sure that you're still feeling okay and that nothing's changed. We typically might send something like this up to a year after the initial eval, but some of our customers choose to send it earlier. Some send it 3 months, 6 months, etc. There's nothing wrong with that. And all you have to do is basically include a link to a form. Now this form is really important because ultimately you need a way to capture this interest. One strategy some people can use is just, hey, call the clinic, but we all know how the front desk tends to get a little bit overwhelmed with just normal day-to-day calls. So instead, you can offload some of this demand, push it towards an online form, and then have the front desk follow up or yourself follow up when you have the time. So here's what one of these forms might look like. And again, you're basically just saying, hey, come on in. Some people phrase it as a free wellness screen. Some people phrase it as a free check-in. Some people just go direct to an actual appointment sign up. There's a number of different strategies and all have their merits, their pros and cons. But again, basically all you really need is some way to capture the name, email, a way to get in contact with them. All right, and a lot of practices like to include both their preferred clinic and preferred therapist. As you continue to really improve that patient experience and you want to try to build a personal relationship, these can be really important because as we know, patients really like to see certain individuals. So again, sometimes people will also include a little bit more information, some context. Some people like to also include a quote, but on these things, usually simpler is better. Essentially, you're just giving them a way to express their interest, fill out that form, and hit submit. Right? And so this is all a reactivation screen is in its simplest, right? We're basically building a campaign that says, hey, I'm going to give patients a way to raise their hand and say, hey, how are you doing? Let me know if you want to be seen again. And so, that's what the actual form looks like. Now, automating that couldn't be easier with a tool like Strive Hub. So again, let me just quickly walk you through how this might work. Essentially, all we're going to do is we're going to create a workflow. And in this case, we're going to create what's called a continuous workflow, meaning it's going to run on its own. We're going to create it. We're going to call it reactivation, if I can spell, campaign. And it's as simple as this. If you wanted to create a list with all your patients, you could. You could just send it out globally. You could send it to every single patient that comes in a certain period of time after they were discharged, let's say. But in this case, we could even be a little bit more specific. As we've talked about before, usually those promoters, those most satisfied patients, are sometimes the ones that are best to check up on, the ones that are most likely to want to utilize your service again. So some people choose to just send this out to their promoters, right? So we could certainly do that if we wanted to. Right? But there's a number of different strategies. Each clinic can set it up slightly different. Again, we're going to want to send that reactivation campaign that we just created. This one will do the simple reactivation. But again, that's as simple as selecting the piece of content we just created. And then the trigger mechanism, right? So this is how you can really set it and forget it. So like we said, some people will choose to do 12 months after initial evaluation or 12 months after discharge. We do something like 3 months after discharge. Again, a whole host of options. It just depends on the specific workflow that you want to set up. And then it's as simple as hitting save and start. Okay, and basically once you've done that, this is now going to run in the background. So it really doesn't take up any cognitive load for you. You don't have to worry about making sure that you checked in. This system is going to automatically take care of it for you. Okay, so again, StriveHub is really designed to make this very, very easy for you. So again, there's a number of ways you can do this though. If you're not a StriveHub customer, I've seen practices do this with as simple as basically creating a simple contact form on their own website, and then basically setting up a reminder to send out these reactivations either monthly, bi-weekly, weekly. Some people even hire staff that are dedicated to doing these sorts of things just to ensure that that relationship with the patient is strong. As always, you want to just make sure that whatever tool you're using something that will sign a BAA with you, that will provide a HIPAA compliant resource. Make sure you're looking into the legal ends to do so. But as long as you're doing that, as long as you're covering those bases, this can be a really important way to drive more business to your practice. Now again, what I want to really put as a disclaimer is we would never encourage a practice to try to get a patient into a plan of care that doesn't need a plan of care. I think that goes without saying, but I'm going to say it because some people have given us some criticism for this strategy. The reality is, what do we know? We know that 1 in 2 adults every single year are going to develop a musculoskeletal condition, all right? But yet 9% actually go to physical therapy. As we continue to advocate for our profession and we continue to understand how valuable physical therapy is to decreasing the total cost in healthcare, simple tools like reactivation are going to play a major role in how we control cost in healthcare. And the beauty of this is that physical therapists are also going to win and become strong, successful businesses by improving the health of the populations that they treat. So this simple reactivation is becoming incredibly important for running your practices. We are seeing clinics that are starting to have more than 50% of their total patient load on any given week be past patients. And this is incredibly valuable. It's a really key sign that shows that you're connecting and engaging with your community, providing value to the customers you serve. They're coming back again and again. So definitely this can be a substantially ROI positive tool to use in your practice. As you can see, we talked about it today in less than 3 minutes. Fundamentally, this is something that's going to be incredibly low cost because it can be automated and run in the background, and it's going to drive substantial business back to your practice. So again, thank you as always. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can hit us up on Twitter. We're at @strive_labs. Or if you want to just get in touch by email, hello@strivelabs.com works great. As always, it's been great talking to you and look forward to talking more about these ideas. Goodbye.